City Council meeting. Call the meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Vice Chair Oglesby, who should be just in time.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. A motion on the minutes? All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. We have no special presentations. So, Madam Clerk, let's get down to ordinances final read. 5A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 21, by renaming the chapter Property Maintenance, deleting Articles 1 through 8 relative to housing in their entirety and replacing them with new Articles 1 through 6 relative to property maintenance, and deleting Chapter 18, Sections 18158 through 18170 relative to litter and overgrowth.
It's a pleasure to the council. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 24, Section 24502, relating to speed on through streets.
Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval.
Second. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. C, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 3, Section 394A, setback requirements for detached signs, amending Section 396, traffic directional signs, amending Section 588A, consumption of alcoholic beverages and beer in parklet cafes, open containers of alcoholic beverages and beer in parklet cafes, and amending Section 3244, temporary use permit.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chair. This is your sponsor. If no other questions, I'll move to approve.
Thank you. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. That takes us to ordinances on first read. Madam Clerk, let's go to 6A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2100 Hamilton Place Boulevard, more particularly described herein from C4 Planned Commerce Center to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant present? Yes. Is there any opposition present? Councilman Ledford.
Move to approve.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 4251 Bonnie Oaks Drive, more particularly described herein from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone and R1 Residential Zone to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone.
Is the applicant present? Yes. Is there any opposition present? Councilman Gilbert.
John, can you come up here on this one?
Yes, sir.
Can you go over that a little bit more on this particular project?
Have these slide up, please. Here we go. This is a request to rezone. Let me just kind of give you how detailed overview you need. Do we do full?
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. This is a request to rezone a piece of property, zone C2 and R1 to M1, to accommodate a proposed self-storage facility that would also incorporate some outdoor storage. The property is located at 4251 Bonnie Oaks Drive, just south of the South Excess and Bonnie Oaks Drive intersection. The property is just to the north and east of the South Chickamauga Creek Greenway, which you see on the left-hand side of your screen. If you look at properties around it, I mean, currently this is currently being used for storage. I understand that there's an enforcement action that's being cleaned up, as I understand, as we speak. But it's a former, I can't remember the name of the former business used to be there. It used to be called the Governor's. Thank you, sir. the governor's, I think is a historical landmark. It's formerly the governor's. It's been used for storage. There's enforcement. It's in the process of being cleaned up. To the north is the railroad right away. To the south, you do have some single-family residential. Does abut the railroad to the east, and of course, you got the greenway to the west. This is some images of the site. You see the current property. At the time this was taken, there was still some storage. This is, of course, about a month or so ago. There was some materials being stored on the site. You can see the front of the property and the views along the road to the bottom. The current zoning, there is some M1 in the area. You got M1 across the creek to the west, and then at the intersection of Access Road and Bonnie Oaks Drive. This particular section of Bonnie Oaks is zone C2, with the rear portion, as we indicated, zoned R1. There has been no recent zoning history at this site, and as I mentioned, the closest M1 zoning is about 140 feet to the west. This is the site plan that was submitted with the request. Shows, again, reusing the existing building with parking out front. There would be storage, I guess, off to the side and to the rear. It's not clear on this particular image, but I imagine that was what was being proposed at the time. There is some floodplain areas on this property, particularly to the rear. A good portion of the rear is in the 100-year flood. When staff reviewed this request, we looked at the current adopted land use plan for this area. That's the Highway 58 Community Land Use Plan, which recommends neighborhood commercial. So that's kind of like a C5 type zone appropriate. So that was the recommendation of the plan for this location. It's important to note in C2, you can have some limited outdoor storage, but it can't exceed 20% of the lot square footage, excluding the existing building. So there are limits to how much area you can use for self-storage, and that storage has to be related to the business. So either it's a product you're selling or something related to a production process on the site. It can't just be junk that you're storing on the property. Again, based on the Highway 58 plan recommendations for really a neighborhood commercial, staff did not feel like M1 was appropriate. Again, thinking about the zone, not just the use. So staff recommended to deny. We noted that you can do some storage in C2, but it's limited to 20% of the lot area. So we recommend to deny. At Planning Commission, there was no opposition. After hearing comments from the staff and the applicant was fine with rezoning the entire site to C2, which allowed them some additional, basically some areas for outdoor storage, but not the entire site. So Planning Commission concurred with staff's recommendation to deny the request, but also to approve C2 for the entire site. So staff's original recommendation was just to deny the M1. Planning Commission denied M1 and recommend approval of C2 for the entire site.
Thank you, John. Can I get the applicant come up?
Yes, my name is Pryor Bacon. My wife has titled that property.
I have not seen a site plan that exactly what you're going to do, and I do have a problem with the material that you have out there that don't. I have a lot of complaints. I've been having complaints for the last 2 or 3 years about that site for that area, or as the way it looks. Tell me how you're going to improve that.
I'd like to digress to the act for me asking for the M1 zoning, if I could, take about 3 minutes to tell you. To the west, up across the creek, you've got a junkyard, which is in M1 zoning, and then you got the railroad, which is an R1, which is really irrelevant from the standpoint because nothing's ever going to be built on the railroad. It would surprise all of us in the room, I believe, if the railroad even sold a piece of property. To the east of that, you've got the C1 or C2 piece of property is undeveloped piece of property, and then there's a tool and die company that also has outside storage behind it, and then you've got a contractor's yard. So I didn't feel like it was anything out of character with respect to the area for me to be, because I'm bracketed by, on the north side of the creek, I am bracketed by the M1. When I found out there was opposition, I just wanted to take the opportunity to take the rear portion that's zoned R1, which to me is irrelevant. Something commercial is going to be on this piece of property, and if I go forward with it, which I plan to do, it'll be a self-storage facility. As far as what's stored there, admittedly, it's I'll be 68 in 2 years, been working about 50, and that's about 50 years accumulation of my construction paraphernalia, and we are in the process of cleaning it up. We're down to 3 trucks are remaining that if you pull the picture back up, you could see. We have no intent of being disrespectful or not getting along with anybody in the community. In fact, Mr. Gilbert, I don't know of anyone other than you that has had an opposition. So if somebody had come to me, we would have addressed it at that time. But I've been in this community all my life, and I don't plan on, I'm not trying to cause anybody any trouble, and we'll clean it up. Second thing, with respect to the floodplain that you're referring, it is, from a self-storage standpoint, I wouldn't store anything down below. So my plan would be to elevate it up on the second floor with a concrete floor, and then put 2 floors, about 25,000 feet of floor for a self-storage facility. But it's kind of like your plan of the 58 highway area. It's when we get around to it. So I bet I get self-storage in there before you get your plan built. It'd be my speculation. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that area. It's a very old area. You're right across the street from you is housing, R1. On around the corner is R1. You're correct. On the side of you, down the street, it needs to be improved some there, but they're already there. We're looking at trying to improve the area and trying to get the right thing in that area. So what I would like to do is get with you and get with the community and see what they think, and then we get together. You show me a site plan to show you exactly what you're going to do. We will put conditions on it, but I want to give them an opportunity to tell you what they think, if any opposition is there or not. So I'd like to defer this for 30 days so that we can get together and talk about it.
Mr. Gilbert, you can waste everybody's time for me to come back here again in 30 days, because it really doesn't matter. If you don't want to rezone the back to C2.
Mr. Bacon, that's well enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move to the night.
Any other questions?
No, move to the night.
Hang on, I got lights.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Burrs.
That's all right. There was I didn't hear your motion. Deny? Okay, and there was a second?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, there was. All right, there's no further discussion. I've got a motion and a second to deny. All those in favor of the denial, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. See, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 207 and 209 Old Mountain Road, more particularly described herein from R1 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zones, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. Is there any opposition present? Councilman Oglesby?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Planning Commission version of this request.
Was that a second? I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. D, please.
An ordinance
Madam
amending.
Clerk, make sure it's the alternate version.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, Sections 38.2, 38.185, 38.187, 38.321, and Article 6, Division 2, other special exceptions relative to creating a special exceptions permit for contractors' businesses in the C2 convenience commercial zone.
All right. Councilman Henderson.
Move for approval the alternate version.
Thank you, sir. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. Let's move on to E, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a sewer easement located in the 2700 block of North Point Boulevard as detailed on the attached map.
Councilman Mitchell.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind me stepping into your district for a moment, I'd like to move approval.
I'd be happy for you too, sir. Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. F, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a portion of the 500 block of the unopened Kennedy Alley and the 500 block of East 16th Street as detailed on the attached map.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Okay, thank you. Let's move down to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution to amend resolution number 29142 to repeal resolution number 28503 adopted on January 19, 2016, and adopting new rules of operation for the Chattanooga City Council.
Councilwoman Burse. All right, I've got a motion and a second. Councilman Oglesby.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to that, please.
All right, sir, what would your amendment be?
The amendment is that we move it from the 5-minute time limit to 3 minutes for the part at the end of the meeting where persons wishing to speak before the city council. All right, I've got an amendment on this. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Attorney, since this is a resolution, when is the effective date of this?
There's not been an opportunity for anyone to know before this evening. I think it would be the next meeting would be the earliest.
Okay. So it would take effect next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, seeing no further lights, we're going to vote on the amendment as put forward by Councilman Oglesby. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. No. All right, the amendment passes. Now I need a motion to approve as amended. All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve as amended. All in favor, say aye. Opposed is nay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. B, please.
A resolution authorizing the activation of the Open Spaces Partnership in Animation and Community Enhancement Program, PACE, to be available for use in all City of Chattanooga parks and open spaces for the cost of park rentals for organizations and individuals that meet the criteria set forth by Open Spaces for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Councilman Ledford.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. C, please.
A resolution authorizing payment to the University of Illinois Fire Service Institute training to be held at the Chattanooga Fire Training Center on April 30, 2019 through May 3, 2019 for a cost of $15,000.
Councilman Henderson.
Move approval.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. D, please.
A resolution authorizing Collins and Company to pay any and all claims for city employee Martin Santos related to the specified diagnosis for a job injury settlement under the city's job injury heart-lung program for a period of 3 years from the effective date of settlement agreement and release of all claim for an approximate amount of $36,000.
Pleasure of the council. Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. E, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Human Resources Officer to renew an existing agreement with Russ Blakely and Associates, LLC, to provide benefit advisor and open enrollment services and act as agent of record for all benefit options at no cost for the first of 2 optional renewal terms for April 1, 2019 to March 31, 2020.
It's a pleasure of the council.
Move approval.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. F, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Human Resources Officer to renew an existing agreement with ComSite Corporation to provide Employee Assistance Program, EAP services, to eligible city employees at the rate of $1.15 per employee per month and $1.49 per employee per month for sworn employees for a second one-year optional renewal term beginning April 1, 2019, for an approximate annual cost of $36,850.
Councilman Gilbert.
Move to approve.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Chief, please.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Adam Kinsey to the Chattanooga Housing Authority Board.
Councilwoman Burrs. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. H, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to accept a cash grant from the Recycling Partnership to provide grant funding and technical assistance in support of the city's expansion of the curbside recycling program in the amount of $913,200.
Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. Aye, please.
A resolution to amend resolution number 29653 entitled "A Resolution Authorizing the Administrator for the Department of Public Works to apply for and accept, if awarded, reimbursable funds for the curbside recycling grant from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, for an amount not to exceed $750,000, to accept reimbursable funds for the curbside recycling grant from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, in the amount of $1,254,000.
Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. Jay, please.
A resolution authorizing the city purchasing agent to enter into a blanket contract with Compass Auctions and Real Estate LLC for the provision of surplus property disposition for facilitation services for 2 years with the option to renew for 3 additional one-year periods.
Councilman Ledford.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Kay, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Youth and Family Development to enter into a blanket purchase agreement with the Electric Power Board to pay client services payment for the citizens of Chattanooga that qualify for assistance under the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, and the Community Services Block Grant, CSBG, programs for a grant period of October 1, 2018 through September 30, 2019, in the amount of $8,025,500.
Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. Move on to L, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Youth and Family Development to enter into a blanket purchase agreement with the Atlanta Gas Light Company to pay client services payment for the citizens of Chattanooga that qualify for assistance under the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, and the Community Services Block Grant, CSBG, programs for a grant period October 1, 2018 through September 30, 2019, in the amount of $138,650.
Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. M, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Youth and Family Development to enter into a blanket purchase agreement with Volunteer Energy Cooperative to pay client services payment for the citizens of Chattanooga that qualify for assistance under the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, and the Community Services Block Grant, CSBG, programs for a grant period October 1, 2018 through September 30, 2019, in the amount of $50,200.
Councilwoman Coonrod, followed by Councilman Gilbert. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. That takes us down to purchases. Ms. Woodard?
Good evening.
Good evening.
To begin tonight, we have one emergency purchase to report on behalf of the Transportation Department. And it was for purchase of geotechnical engineering services. It was awarded to Geosyntec Consultants in an amount of $120,000. And I'll let Mr. Bailey start signing it for us here. And this was an emergency purchase of geotechnical engineering services for assessing the condition of multiple roadways and other city assets related to slope failures that have occurred due to the excessive amount of rainfall in the Chattanooga area recently. Are there any questions?
No, ma'am.
We'll now move to our regular purchase list. To begin with, also on behalf of the Department of Transportation, we have a blanket contract renewal for traffic signal heads to be awarded to General Traffic Equipment Corporation in an estimated annual amount of $88,000. Next, on behalf of the Chattanooga Fire Department, we have a blanket contract renewal for radio equipment and maintenance for it to be awarded to Motorola Solutions, Inc., in an estimated annual amount of $4 million. Next, on behalf of the Public Works Department, we have the blanket contract renewals for golf course chemicals to be awarded to first Harrell's LLC and second Regal Chemical Company in a total estimated annual amount of $90,000. Next, a blanket contract renewal for security camera equipment and service to be awarded to Integrated Networking Technologies LLC in an estimated annual amount of $160,000. Next, a blanket contract renewal for remote monitoring services of cryogenic oxygen generation system to be awarded to Mohawk Cryo LLC in an estimated annual amount of $75,000. Next, a new blanket contract for downtown landscape improvements and maintenance to be awarded to City Green Services in an estimated annual amount of $200,000. Next, a new blanket contract for overhead door maintenance and repair services to be awarded to King Door in an estimated annual amount of $135,000. Next, new blanket contract for collection and disposal of household hazardous waste to be awarded to Permafix Environmental Services, Inc. in an estimated annual amount of $40,000. And finally, on behalf of Public Works, we have the purchase of the replacement of fuel piping at Irwin Marina, to be awarded to Specco Petroleum Solutions in a total amount of $28,843.96. And finally, on behalf of the Information Technology Department, we have the purchase of CDWG software that is not included in the blanket contract that we otherwise maintain with this company, which was all based on quote material. We are basically approving the accumulation of several POs that have exceeded $25,000. And they are all awarded to CDWG LLC in a total amount of $28,048.75.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to the council.
Move for approval.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Thank you, Ms. Woodard.
Thank you.
That takes us to other business. Anybody on the council that has other business? Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last night, the Chattanooga Fire Department had their annual awards banquet, and I just wanted to let people know some of the stories that we heard last night were stories about service, sacrifice, exemplary training, skill, dedication, and absolutely no thoughts of sometimes their own safety. And I just wanted people to know that many lives are saved every day by the men and women who wear a uniform in the service to our community. And the fire department stories last night that I heard were absolutely just heartfelt. They inspired me. They made me want to do better in everything that I do. These men and women come up there and they accept these awards, and you can see it in their actions. They don't want them. And that was the coolest thing that I really took away from that, was hearing a story about saving someone's life and then not wanting to stand on that stage in front of your peers. That just told me exactly what kind of people serve us in that capacity. And I just wanted to share that with everybody here, that they never look for the award, and they never look for the spotlight. And I think we should all give the Chattanooga Fire Department a huge round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Seeing no other business, we'll move to committee reports. Councilwoman Burrs. No reports. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. We had an awesome report from the Economic and Community Development Department for the 2019 to 2020 action plan for community development grants.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. We had an excellent report from Department of Family and Empowerment, and we've also taken into consideration the complaints from our constituents that the information is not getting out into the community. So we're going to just target focus different areas of the communities, all 9 districts, and canvas whatever that empowerment opportunity looks like to make sure that the community is aware of the services that Office of Family and Empowerment offers, and especially the line, making sure that electricity bills are gas bills are being paid.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Councilman Gilbert.
No report.
Councilman Henderson.
No report.
Councilman Ledford.
No report.
Councilman Mitchell.
Mr. Chair, next Tuesday we'll have a Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting following the agenda session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything else that's going to be discussed during that meeting you'd like to announce?
We're going to get a report from Public Works on their relationship with the WWPA.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Oglesby.
No report.
All right, thank you. That ends our regular agenda session and takes us to the point in our agenda of recognition of persons wishing to address the council on non-agenda matters. Is there anybody here this evening that would like to address the council? Yes, Mr. Attorney?
Yes. Pursuant to your rules that you adopted in 2017, at the end of each council business meeting, the chair can recognize members of the public that wish to address the council, and these rules are applicable. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized with the microphone. At this point in time, no person shall have no more than 5 minutes to speak. This provision has been amended by resolution passed tonight, which is effective on 1 reading. And at next meeting, you can only have 3 minutes to speak at this portion. The speaker can address the council only upon matters within the legislative or quasi-judicial authority of the council. Can't use any vulgar, obscene language, nor use the forward to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Address your comments to the body as a whole, not to any individual member of the council. And can't be recognized at any point in time to speak more than twice in a 30-day time period. I believe you're okay, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. My name is Marie Mott. It's been a while since I've seen your face, but I'm here with a rather pressing issue, as most of them tend to be here in the city of Chattanooga. I felt that one had better die fighting against injustice than to die like a dog or a rat in a trap. I had already determined to sell my life as dearly as possible if attacked. That is Ida B. Wells. Yesterday, there was an incident at Delwood Middle School where a young lady who is 13 years old, she was arrested, and that is not the thing that is rather important. What is rather important is that we had Hamilton County Sheriffs as well as the Chattanooga Police Department that responded to the school. And there's video footage of this 13-year-old, she's probably only as tall as me and I'm rather short, rather petite young lady who has police officers with their knees on top of her in her back. I need video footage from the body cams of the Chattanooga Police Department. They have been requested through open records to ascertain the entirety of the situation. The community is rather upset with the snapshot of video that has been recorded by students, many students who went home yesterday in tears because of what they witnessed. This council has seen instance after instance after instance of police brutality and excessive force, and has had many discussions of which the community cannot make because they happen during business hours when most people are working. And I know that there has been a back and forth of what do we do, community oversight board independently? Do we want to keep the one that's under the chief of police? The problem that I continue to have is that if we have the capacity to change, to make the change necessary, necessary. And I think Ken Smith, you probably was the one that said it best, is that what are we really asking for, and what determination are we really asking for if we're asking for the chief of police to continue to be over the oversight board that he has, and we have not seen the results in which that we're looking for. And I'm telling you, it is a complete failure. And it's not just this board or this council. It's a failure of our community to make up our mind that we are no longer going to accept things that are unacceptable, that we're tired, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that, yes, we're going to have to fight to change, and that the only reason I continue to make this statement, this country for 4 years fought one brother against another, one color against another, about ideals that the majority of our country did not hold, that black people not only deserve to be free, but we deserve to have the same equal protection under the law as white people. And so we're here, we have black people on this council, you have a black person standing right here, you have black people who are right here, we're here, the Hispanic person is here, the immigrant is here, because we had to fight. We had to fight to the death, where we lost 2% of our population in 4 years over ideals that a country has struggled for a very long time to accept, that we are all endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and they are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that we are all equal in God's eyes. And why does man have to write that on paper? Man had to write that on paper to reiterate what we quickly and easily forget. We forgot about those dead in Gettysburg, and even those on the Knob and various places, even here in the city of Chattanooga. Our city of Chattanooga fields and streets are soiled with blood of Native Americans who were ushered all the way through here, as well as those who fought for African Americans to be free people in this country. Not only to just restrict the time that we have to talk to you, but to continue to go back and forth about issues that you know in your heart are wrong. You know what you see is wrong. You know what's happening is wrong. It's time to hold people accountable. If you can't get a meeting with the mayor, tell the people, guess what? We'll fight with you. We'll fight for you. Make our job easier. Stand with us. Don't fight without us. Don't keep us in the dark. Let us know what's going on, but most of all, hear what we have to say and act on what we're asking for. And we're far past the time where we're asking for people to stop trampling not only on our civil rights, but our human dignity. And when it becomes a situation where our children are being brutalized by police, do not lull me to sleep with sweet lullabies about how good they are. Tell me how you're going to fix the problems that we have.
Thank you, Ms. Mott.
Well, my name is Patricia Young, and I have a little problem. I'm trying to get the lights on and the structure in the back of my house, and I missed your ordinance, a 90-day ordinance, and so I have to start over from scratch, I guess, trying to get my lights on and on this structure, and I need some help.
Hey, ma'am, do you know what district you live in?
Yes, I'm in Miss Coonrod district.
Oh, Councilwoman Coonrod, I'm sorry, I missed your light. Please go ahead.
And I was told at the zoning development and research, I think I'm saying source. Anyway, they said that I lost my privilege when my lights was off 90 days, and I'm trying to get my privilege back, or get whatever it was that I lost. You got an ordinance that says I have to have lights can't be off longer than 90 days. And so I need some help in just getting my lights on in this building, in this structure. That's why I'm here.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yolanda. So yes, we talked about it, and I also reached out to Dallas and Mr. Beelan. He's here as well. So you're in that R1 zone, and
yes,
because of your electricity being off for 90 days or more, then you have to get the land surveyor to come back out and look at it. Mr. Beelan, he
And I have pictures here of the property. I wish that I could show it.
Mr. Beelan, can you assist her, please?
Oh, okay. Okay. And so you can see that this is, it's just it's just about 20 feet apart. It's really right in my backyard. It's just right there.
Right, so he's gonna take care of you and help you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bell? Ready when you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for the official greeting. I needed that. Monty Bell, the homeless journalist, the Gray Herd Fox. Tonight, I came to talk about several things, and it saddens me to know that the 5 minutes that we had were not enough, and now on the second term, we're limited down to 3. So I'll do the best I can. The Dred Scott case. I've been treated like Dred Scott in the present day history of my city, my county, and my state. And I want to talk to you because tonight I'm hoping to get a response from the council, having not ever received one in about 26 years of coming before this committee. I think tonight is a good time that we hear some voices. The Dred Scott case was a case that started in 1846. It was about a black man, an African, that was born into slavery because his mother was brought here while impregnated with him, captured. Oh man, it was a terrible story. But to fast forward because of the time, Dred Scott, because of his deep heritage, having both an African mother and a father, didn't fit in with the only creation ever created in this country, and that is the American Negro. We got to get this Bible thing started right because I need my money. And it seems like the only way to get these billions that we're suing you for, we've got to come down to a moral issue. Now, Dred Scott was not like the other African Americans that were born by the American white man. No, he had 2 African American parents, and his lawsuit said that, hey, I don't go by what you all are putting down here, that the black man has no rights in which white people have to abide by. That seems to be where I've been here. I've beaten you in every level of the courts, from general sessions all the way up to your Supreme Court, and I'm still coming to a panel of city council people asking for my redress. This is as bad as coming to ask a security person if it's okay that I be friendly with black women. I shared with David Toulis here moments ago before your council started about a white woman who I could have made history with in this city, in this county, in this state, a lady by the name of Melidia Kluel. Some of you may remember her. And for all of you who thought that Monty Bell wanted a life in radio, I could tell you what you could do, but we've got some young people here that I must be respectful for. My thing has always been in television. But we had a real big fight up at News Channel 9 because of Melidia Kluel. I've been the first black man to ever go in a setting to fight, to be in the presence of a white woman. And she's still my friend. David read where she wrote about her friend, the television broadcast journalist. And it saddens me that now she's on the same side of the people who've been trying to destroy me for the last 26 years. We're going to talk about this on Mr. Toulis' show tomorrow. How can people who started out in my profession of broadcasting now are turncoats working for the people who've been destroying my black people since I've been here since 1992. Now, we've got 2 more people that we call the city attorney's office about that are in radio, and we need to get them off. We really do. I'm back to reclaim my position. I'm going to Brainerd High School. I talked to the superintendent about Dr. Burrs and the fact that I was at her house. In fact, that phone call came to the office of the city attorney, being the one that changed the name of my school from Panthers, as it were, the Rebels. Do you remember that, Dr. Burrs? I did some of this in your house.
please don't
Oh, yes. Please, Mr. Chair. But we wrote that proposal in the house of the chair when I was in high school. That's why I love it now when I see these black kids flying through the air. I'm not an athlete with the Panthers written all over their jersey. So we're going back because we heard that someone from Macaulay donated $19 million back to their school. And I'm going back to Brainerd to tell them that their guy has been held back because of politics, and we want to get them 19 million out of this 24 billion that we're suing you for, and we're going to get this started. I do thank you, and I thank you very much.
Is there anybody else here this evening? Yes?
Call the city council members and Chairman Smith. I'm Ezra Harris, and I'm with the North Brainerd Community Council. And of course, on today, we just want to make a recognition of one of our District 9 councilwoman, and want to take this opportunity to do this because we never know when the opportunity will pass us by. Appreciate all of y'all serving in the capacity that you serve in, and to my councilman, Russell Gilbert, thank you as well. Mrs. Coonrod, on behalf of the North Brainerd Community Council, we would like to extend to you this appreciation award for your services in District 9 and also for the improvements that were made at Eastdale Community Center. We love our center. We appreciate you so much. Mrs. Coonrod, our special projects chairman, she wanted to come up here. I told her she wasn't feeling well, but she wanted to come anyway, so I just, you can't fight her. So you do that. But we appreciate all what you do and everything, and thank you for this opportunity, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else here this evening who would like to address the council? Seeing none? Thank you, sir. We are adjourned. No.